Hey, it's Dave Torgerson, Realist real estate agent. So it's just a couple of agents that will sit around and talk about actual, honest to God, like real estate stuff, not the fancy that everybody else seems to talk about. Okay, because this is actually how the whole podcast is.
Oh,
like everything that
great.
you were just talking about right there.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I was late for getting on here with you because I had 6 videos that the VA needed me to get to him today so he can slice and dice and get them out to the world. And I promised him a deadline, 2 p.m. and you and I were going to get on it too. And then I get it. So that was already happening. And I texted you and said, hey, sorry, I'm going to be a little bit late. Gotta get these videos out. And then my wife texted me and said, hey, Lila, who's 14, and she went to get contacts for the first time today and doesn't like them. And one is stuck in her eye. Can you take her contact out? So I said, yeah, add it to the list of things. And so she came in the office right here in this where we're sitting now. And I took my little, my light that you see there behind me, held it up and held her eye open and ripped it out of her eye after about 17 minutes of me trying to fish it out. So, and here we are.
Right.
This is what happens in real estate.
So you're like a realtor, father, optometrist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that. Yeah. I mean, everything you and that's what I said. I said I'm going to get into Yoder real estate. Everyone thinks we should open a cheese factory because Yoder is like, we have Amish relatives. So there's cheese there. So selling cheese out the back door. And then of course, optometry. If you want to sell your house and get a pair of glasses with your listing.
Right. I like the cheese idea, especially. Yeah. So that could be your
Who doesn't
closing
like
gift.
Cheese?
Yeah, you could get. So you sell a house and they get a free wheel of cheese.
Oh my God, that's really good. That's really good. But actually, I heard
not like the little one, like the obnoxious,
the super huge one.
Yeah,
like the biggest wheel of cheese in the whole world.
Yeah.
But actually, and you're going to appreciate this because I was watching, as I do every year, my favorite Christmas movie of all time is It's a Wonderful Life, and I'm sure I know you're familiar with the movie.
I am. Yeah.
And it's very touching and always gets me every time. And my family doesn't want to watch it, not because it's not great, but because they're stinkers and they don't understand. And so they go to bed, and I'm fine with that. And I would sit there and cry and watch this beautiful movie. And I never noticed this before. But at the very end, towards the very end of the movie, they're showing Mr. Martini, who owns the bar. Mm-hmm. They helped him get into a home for his family, which the old fella, the rotten Scrooge curmudgeon, old curmudgeon guy in town, I'm forgetting his name right now. Made him
me
rent.
too.
So we'll think of it before we're done. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so they give him a housewarming, and the well, now everything's escaping me, forgetting the names of the Potter is the old man, for crying out loud. Potter Town, right? And of course we have the main character is
Jimmy Stewart. I can't remember his name, but
we have to remember his name. It's the whole point. Anyway, him and his wife, which I also know, they give this gift of housewarming, and here it is. She gives him a loaf of bread, or a big piece of bread, like French bread, it looked like, bread that this house may never know hunger. And then she said, salt, that life may always have flavor, and wine, that joy and prosperity may reign forever. And that was all in one basket. I thought that was really pretty neat.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's a far cry from a Cutco knife.
It really is bread, salt, and wine. Pretty, but there's meaning there, and I liked it. And I like the sentiment. I like the meaning behind it, and I think I'm going to do that. Give people bread, but it can't just be like Morton's table salt. Probably should get some fancy salt.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll get that Himalayan sea salt, that pink stuff.
That's the pink stuff. I know. Yeah. I love that stuff.
Yeah, get them the pink stuff. That's kind of an interesting thing. You bring up a really good point, and that's something that I've noticed in the industry too. Closing gifts.
Yeah.
The majority of closing gifts.
They're bad.
They are. Yeah. When we bought our first house, and this was before I was a real estate agent, obviously. We looked at probably 50 homes. This would have been back in like 2004. And so we looked at like 50 homes with this real estate agent. She took us to lunch, which I thought was pretty cool. And so she's gotten to know us pretty well after showing us 50 homes, you would think.
Right.
And so here was the closing gift. It was a little breakfast basket thing, right? So you had like a like pancake mix and little sausages or whatever, they're like all wrapped up. They don't need to be refrigerated. And I thought that it was so interesting because I'm gluten intolerant. I have non-celiac gluten sensitivity, right? I had that my whole life.
Yeah.
She knows that because I told her multiple times when we went to lunch, I was like, yeah, I can't do gluten, bad stuff happens. And then with the sausages, I react poorly to nitrites. And that's also something that is very, well known with people that are around me. And I just thought that I thought it was interesting, because like, here's the closing gift and it's a whole bunch of I can't eat. Thanks. Really, really appreciate that.
Well, two things come to mind with that is the first one, and I'm sorry, I did not know that you had a nitrate. What is it?
Nitrite.
You're nitrite, not nitrate. You're allergic to nitrate.
Well, it's not allergic. Just I'm kind of a pussy digestive tract. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah. Because your New Year's gift, I sent you like a whole package of sausage. That's all it was. It's a big
just sausage.
Yeah, because it's as I also mentioned. I'm known as the sausage king of Grand Rapids, so you're going to get that customized. And I just, for good measure, it's going to have some bread in there, so you just poison the shit out of you and see how you do. What would happen if you ate a whole basket of sausage and a big loaf of bread at the same time?
I would never leave the bathroom for at least a couple of days. At least a couple of days.
I'm totally not laughing at you. Yes, I am.
I know.
So
it's kind of funny because also at the same time, what's funny about that is that I know that I have these problems, and yet I ate the bread and the sausage and did the thing. And it's like, why would you do that? Like, what's going to happen
because it tastes good, and you forget what happens afterwards, and the pleasure is far outweighing the pain because the pain is a distant past until it's thrust into your present.
Well, I guess it can be, but I also have a pretty good memory. So interestingly enough, sausage doesn't even taste that good anymore. Like I think about sausage.
You want to taste good. Yeah, I can see that. Right. It's kind of
miss bread.
Yeah, bread's good.
Yeah.
So the thing about the closing gift is it kind of changes my philosophy on gift giving is something called giftology. And it's written by a guy named John Ruhlin, Ruhlin. But it's the first time I'd actually seen someone take gift giving and actually explain the essence of this thing and change the paradigm, if you will, on gift giving, and especially when it comes to closing gifts. But we used to give out Cutco knives, and when you cut, the blade has the brand Yoder Realist on the side of it. So that's the client. They're going to say, "Oh, I'm always seeing Yoder. That's branding." Well, he's like, "You're getting it all wrong. Like that's about you. Gift giving is about them." And so at the heart of it, you don't want them to think about you every time. Not in that way. You want them to think about themselves. And so it'd be better if you got them a blade with their name on it. And then by virtue of that, they're going to say, "Oh, every time I do this, I feel good." And I think of my agent, maybe, but maybe not, because that's not the point. Yep. And so that's what really strikes me is that she missed the opportunity to pick up on those clues that we get when people are around us to say, "Oh, there's a good thing there for for David." And for sure.
Yeah. Well, in that same vein, I used to be an aircraft mechanic. So when we bought that house, that was my profession at that particular time. Give me a wrench.
Yeah, right. Well, anything, right? Anything.
Yeah. A wrench, not even a set of wrenches, a wrench. So every time I'm busting out the old 9/16, I'm like, this is pretty cool.
There's exactly. And hold on one second. I'm going to turn off the heater in my office with my phone here because it just kicked on. It's going to make the noise all messy. So
yeah. Oh, and my camera's all fuzzy. I'll show you.
I see that
it fixed it. Here's something interesting. So when your camera goes out of focus, I just learned this the other day. So if you put your finger up there and then pull it back to your face, the camera will actually follow the focus and adjust and bring it back into focus.
How do it know?
Yeah.
So what was I talking about? The gift thing, right? No?
Yep.
It's like it's basically I've seen some really great examples of gift giving. It's an agent on my team did the best I've ever seen, where he was with them. Of course, when you're buying a house, you're with the agent all the time. You're with the buyer. You get a sense of what they like, their family, where they went to school, far more than a listing, right? That's the challenge of listing gifts, is that you're never with them, right? So he would get them something very personal and personalized. And a lot of times it was a Roomba. Roomba's not personalized, but it was at least it's a great gift for a new home buyer, or something that's very personal, like where they went to school or whatever. So but the book itself.
Now Roombas are actually posting all of the pictures from inside people's houses online. I don't know if you saw that on the news.
I did. No, I did not.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Why are they doing
Here's
that?
your Roomba.
Is that like a sneaky thing, like a?
No. So so a lot of the Roombas, what they have is that they have, just normal cameras on them. But they use it to like map the room out. Right. So they can always remember like where stuff is. That's why when you like need to redo, say that you're like changing the configuration of your room, you need to go back and reset your Roomba, because now it doesn't even know, imagine like your Roomba just like smashing into stuff, because
right.
Yeah. So it does. So apparently there were a bunch of photos that got posted from like the Roomba database, whether they got hacked or something. I don't know the whole story. So hopefully Roomba doesn't see this and like try to sue me or something, like that's wrong. But yeah. So
sounds real to me. It sounds legit. And what I don't know about the resetting of the Roomba, why is it that you don't need to reset your pool robot? Because I don't need to reset my pool robot.
What, do you ever change the configuration of your pool?
Every week.
Oh, yeah. You must be selling a lot of houses.
I was setting you up for that question. Oh yeah,
right.
It's
right.
I just
right.
Trying to change it's an L. I want a rectangle on E.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep. Turns out I don't like the rectangle. I want a kidney pool now. I want a kidney shaped pool.
That's right.
Straight back to the 70s.
And then come the contractors are like, geez, man, this Yoder guy is just nuts.
Right.
So anyway, but I think that's a good thing to remember for everybody is, so we went back and forth on gift giving or closing gifts, where we just said, you know what, there you go, put your finger up on your camera there. No more closing gifts, because we got a bunch of garb, like Yoder real estate stuff, like chairs and jackets. And then I said, you know what, I read that book. I said, we're not doing it anymore. So we stopped altogether, because we found out that like the gift at the closing was not really all that heartfelt, and there's real meaning behind it. But recently I've been doing more personalized stuff, where I just give them like a nice local, like a cake from a local company or something. But I like giftology. It's a good philosophy.
What I do. Can I share with you what I do?
Yeah, yes, you can. And I want to add too, before you do, is that he said then the lowest common denominator, just to put this down there at the bottom, because yours is going to be way up here. So now I'm creating contrast for you. I'm anchoring low, so that what you're going to share right now is going to be really nice. Is that the gift card is basically like, I don't care about you.
Oh, well, now you're ruining the whole thing.
Well, it's just basically like and it's so normal, right? I mean, don't overthink this, but like it's basically saying like, I have not spent 365 days, if we're talking about Christmas or whatever the thing is, thinking enough or paying attention to you as a person, so I can give you a gift unique to you. I'm going to just make it super easy for me. So, which kind of like takes away the fun of gift giving. It's not fun to give someone a gift card. I mean, I get like stacks of them in my freaking drawer. I have no idea what they're for, and for anyway. So
I mean, like here's an example. Like I have
how many Starbies? We call them Starbies.
Yeah, I don't even know where they came from. But here's something that I found that is effective, and it is a gift card. Okay,
I'm sorry for wrecking your
no, that's right. Well, yeah, that's why I was like, whoa, you ruined this whole thing for me.
I'm sorry.
No, but the way that we do the gift card, so it's a Visa gift card. It's just $100 Visa gift card.
Okay.
And along with that though is the card.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So this is the personalization on it, and where I believe that, and we get some traction off of this too, because we'll have people, you know, text and be like, "Thank you so much," you know, like. But the card is this: is that, you know, thank you so much for doing business with me and trusting me with the whole process. I actually have, I don't have a card here, so I'm doing this for memory, but here's $100 to go enjoy a night out on the town or do with whatever you want. And what we used to do is we used to do gift cards to the movie theater. And so the pandemic kind of screwed all that up.
Right.
You know, because we would give them a gift card to the movie theater. You know, once you're moved into your new house, you're going to want to relax, you know, enjoy a movie out or a night out on us. You know, and then what that gives me the ability to do though is that I can call them later. Hey, what movie did you see?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, we haven't used it yet. Wow. Are you waiting for a particular movie? All right.
Yeah.
And that, because I never stop building rapport with people after we close.
Yeah.
And,
right.
And
That's
so
good.
yeah, it's always kind of that awkward, you know, you get to the close and then it's sort of like this awkward, like, okay, where do we go from here? You know,
Right.
yeah.
Like we were definitely buddies for like 3 months. Like we talked almost every day. And now what? What's happening here?
Right.
That's why you should have said, "Hey, did you go to the movie yet? Can I go with you? Can I use the other thing?" Too soon?
No, you're right. Yeah.
Too soon.
I've actually, well, the coolest one is when we were doing that, because I love the movies, right? I love going to the movie theater. And so I bumped into a couple of clients there. And they even said, they were like, "We're using your gift card." And we were in the same movie theater. That was kind of fun.
That's cool. That's really cool. George Bailey, by the way. George Bailey.
Oh, that's
George Bailey. George Bailey.
That's the curmudgeon.
No, George Bailey is the one that is the movie is about George Bailey. George Bailey. George Bailey. He's the one. George Bailey is the name of the guy. Jimmy Stewart's George Bailey in the movie.
Oh, that's George Bailey?
Yeah, George Bailey.
I guess I've just always considered.
He's George Bailey, and well, I know why too, but and at the end, there's a there's what I love at the end is that when they at the very end and maybe when they're rolling the credit. No, it's not. When he opens the card from Clarence, the angel, he says, "Dear George, remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Thanks for the wings, Clarence." Mm-hmm. Just really good, touching end. George Bailey, that's his name.
Yeah. Well, so
speaking of I wanted to we just gonna derail the whole gift giving.
Right.
In fact, I just made a note, so thank you for that. That's a really good idea. I love the movies and I love the gift card with the special. So it's not so much it's not the money, it's the sentiment that goes along with it that makes that a special gift. And that actually is giftology, because you took the time to write them something thoughtful and you gave them a gift of an experience out in the town. And that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and that was all resultant from a gift basket, by the way, that I got from that agent. So she taught me a really valuable lesson. You know, even though when I got the gift basket, you know, it was like, oh, I can't use this. Like, this is terrible. We actually wound up throwing it away. But when I was thinking about closing gifts, and this would have been quite some time ago, you know, is that the trying to customize the closing gift to the client is tiring. I mean, it's tiring.
It's time consuming and tiring.
Yeah. It takes a lot of effort. I mean, that's why there are companies out there that specialize in doing closing gifts. You know, like I know that you've seen them. But I mean, we used to spend, you know, $200-300, you know, and then at least like 2 or 3 hours worth of time, and my admin was going down and like buying all this stuff, and like putting it together and doing these things. Because, you know, I mean, that's just what we did. Yeah, and I don't know. I just like the gift card anyway. So I think it's great. In fact, I'm going to steal that. And I like the sentiment behind it. And that doesn't take a lot of time, but writing a card, it allows you to just express something and they know it's from you and you took the time. And how often, by the way, the little secret there, do people get handwritten notes? Very, very seldom. Very seldom.
You know?
Yeah. Now here's the other tricksy part too. This is and feel free to take this. Well, anybody who watches this, feel free to
I mean,
take
they're
this.
wide. There's anybody. You just built the beans, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that if I represented the seller in the transaction, I would send the exact same card with the exact same message to the buyer.
That's great.
As well.
With your business card. Yeah.
Well, it's on the bottom of the card. You know, so but what's interesting too is that I've had a lot of the buyers they'll actually call me when they're ready to list their house. I haven't had any, communication with them. And it hasn't happened like a ton, I'm not like, oh, that's such a surefire thing. Cause then, I'm totally full of shit.
Right. No, it doesn't. Yeah. But a handful enough to make it. Yeah.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Because the thing that I know about my particular market, and I don't know if this is the way that it is in all markets, I suspect that it is, but most agents don't actually even send a closing gift at all.
Yeah, I think on my market we do, but I think mostly. But yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't go to the closing, that kind of thing. It's just hands off.
Right. Well, they'll go to the closing and everything, and then it's just sort of like that, handshake, like, hey, appreciate it. Hope you enjoy the house. Let me know if you need anything in the future, that sort of thing, and then, they're gone.
Sure.
So, a couple of days after the closing's done, because I have their names, I know where they live. Why not? I mean, what does that cost me? $100?
Right.
Yeah. So, that I know it produces results. I mean, I know that I'm net ahead, with sending out like, because if I get one listing from that, of course, then it turns into, a $8,000, $10,000 check.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, I can't help but think the numbers work.
Yeah.
A lot of averages would decree that that's going to work. And obviously you have to wait. There's a long tail on that because you have to, wait for them to make a move. I've heard people, I've never done this before, but I like the idea. It's similar, but not as, I would say not as thoughtful, more on the branding side. The sneaky side is to take a business card and put a magnet on the back of it or a sticker and stick it on the electric panel in the basement. And then, every time they go down there to hit the breakers, that your face is right there.
Right. Which hopefully isn't that often though, either. Because maybe that could be a bad thing. If they're going down there, they're opening it a lot. They're like, why did he put his business card in here? What did he know? What's he trying to sell? Should we get an attorney?
He sold us a shitty house.
Right. And he knows it too because he put his business card in the electrical panel. I knew he knew something. I knew it.
That could backfire. You're right.
Yeah. Well, it's still pretty it's still pretty ingenuitive. It is. Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I love about real estate sales is that so I know that you do a lot of things that are significantly different than other people in your market, and you're rewarded for it. If you do something significantly different and it works, then fantastic. And we're always like, I think as agents, like we're always like changing stuff and like tweaking things around. I don't know. I just really love that. What are you? So besides closing gifts, like what do you do? Like what would you say? I mean, you don't have to give like all the secrets away.
But when you said that, what came to mind to me was the movie Office Space. Do you remember that? When they had the two guys come in and interview everybody, and they get to the one fella and they're like, hey, what do you know the name of the guys that were doing the interviews? It's funnier if you know the names of the guys. They were like the Todds or something, the two Todds. Yeah, like they're interviewing everybody. And
I think it was actually. I think they were Todd. I think it was Todd.
Todd's. I think it was. Yep. And he's like, what exactly? So what exactly do you do here? And he's like, well, I take the file and I bring it over to them, and then they take it and go. He's like, so let me get this straight. Like, you take the file and you bring it to them. And he's like, yes. He's like, couldn't they just take it to them and cut you out of this? He's like, no. So,
I can watch that one again.
Just digging a grave. It was just so freaking hilarious. And he's the one that like they gave him the boot. And he ends up going home, and he's out of a job. So he decides to invent a game, a freaking
Oh,
a game board. You know,
jumping to conclusions.
Jumping to conclusions, and then he ends up like breaking his neck or some shit where he's in a neck brace.
Yes.
Jumping to conclusions. Good
Right.
memory. Wow. I don't think I've ever had anybody pick up where I left off with that description. I could talk to 1,000 people, and I probably get one that's able to do what you just did.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I can even picture the guy where he was like, "Cause you jump to conclusions."
It's such a good. We should just stop right now and watch that movie. I'm sorry. That's good.
Maybe we should. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it again, and it'll just be us narrating Office Space.
Oh man, you just made me super happy. So here's the thing about this thing we do here is there's a really super I would say a fairly large chance of being mediocre in real estate. And I know that because I had the mediocre card. I wore it. I carried it around, right, for a very long time. And it was mostly because I had not made a committed decision to go deep into one of the disciplines. And you don't have to be really super great at everything, although there are so many different facets of real estate, which makes it such a unique industry. I had 33 jobs before I got into real estate. I was 30 years old. I had 33 jobs leading up to that moment. And for the reason is that I just got bored, and I was just, nothing ever tripped my trigger. I'm like, just meh, it's like meh, my kids say. So meh.
Right.
They text that to me, meh.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many facets to it, but you don't have to be extremely great at everything. I would argue that if you really want to truly have make this thing worthwhile, is to go just figure out one of those spokes on the wheel and just do it better than anyone else. Can I swear in here?
Yeah, it's R-rated, man.
Figure the thing out and do it better than anyone else. And like, well, better than anyone else. Better than anyone else. What is it? I don't know. It's for you to decide. For me in 2011 was expired listings. It was a time to do that, right? I just went, and up until then, I had a up and down roller coaster ride. I would do 6 million, and I do not too bad for a fella without an administrative assistant, without leads, without a lead system, without a CRM, without Zillows, and without radio and all that stuff, right? Not too shabby. But it was definitely like this, up and down, up and down. But I was also frustrated because I knew that my cohorts were doing 10 million, did 11 million, 12 million. I thought, well, what are they doing? Well, they figured out one of those disciplines, and they were doing it better than anyone else. And so I decided expires was going to be a thing. So I went super deep and not wide. And that's all I did. That's it. Just 1 month I took June of 2011 or 12. I can't remember which one it was, but I took like 24 expireds in 1 month. One guy with one admin. I hired an admin by that point. So
not bad.
Not bad. So it went from 6 million to 12 million, and then went from 12 to 16, 16 to 20, and 20 to 25. And so that's the thing, is I just think that agents aren't we're not predisposed to lead generation, because we come into this industry for different reasons. If you were to talk to 100 people, let's say they're applicants for real estate, and you ask them why real estate, they'll say, I love architecture. I love homes. I love building, all that kind of stuff. I like the idea of design and architecture and all those creative facets to real estate. And the problem with that, there's nothing wrong with that. There's just the problem is that you're not. This is not about that. It sounds like it should be, but it's not. It's not about the architecture, because you don't get a chance to show the architecture until such time that you have made a sale, sold somebody on you. So now we're back to the beginning here, which is in order to really, truly, now this is where everything gets muddy too, is because people think they're doing extraordinarily well when they're really not. And that comes down to that there's a lot of glossing over of shit. In other words, I'm crushing it. Well, that's highly subjective.
Right.
Based on what? Based on a goal that you didn't set? Crushing it based on what? And so if you're being honest with yourself, which most people aren't, but let's assume that they're like, I set forth to do extremely well in real estate. We should, I don't know, there's no real rule here, but if I left a job and I got into real estate, I would hope that one would want to increase their income, because it's a top end industry. There's no cap, and the sky is the limit. So what the fuck? Like, why would you not blow that shit up and just go for it? So I'm so glad this is this kind of a thing, so I can just share.
I wanted to just ask this really quick, like, why, if this derails where you're going with it, I apologize. Why do you think people don't make that decision?
The decision to go for it?
Yeah, I mean, just go big, because the reason I ask that is that, of course, like I get a chance to talk to a lot of real estate agents, and there are some that you talk to that you can just kind of tell that they've got it. It's in there. Like, you can see it.
Yeah.
You can kind of like almost like touch it, just like, ooh, they've got this thing. And then you ask them, like, well, what do you intend to do with it? And they're like, what do you mean? It's sort of like there's something that happens inside their mind that causes them to, they have the idea and they might even want to do it, but then they just don't.
So do you want the answer that is the mainstream answer, or do you want the real fucking answer?
Well, what do you think? Do I strike you as a mainstream answer guy? I'm hurt.
No, you don't.
Okay.
I had to ask though, just in case you wanted that. The watered down bullshit version of an answer.
No.
So the truth is, and here's the thing, there's no way around it. You're not going to hear this anywhere else, likely in any real estate podcast or real estate circle or anywhere else. You're not going to hear it there. So that's good that you're going to hear, is that underneath all of it, we have the self-image psychology. It was the biggest psychological breakthrough of the 20th century. And it essentially, what's at play here is we have two images. We have the inner image, the sort of person I truly conceive myself to be. And then I have the outer image that I project to other people, that I put out here to the world. And the inner image is what's really driving our behaviors. And so it's much like a thermostat. The best analogy we can give to this is that if it's set at a certain temperature, and the sort of person I truly believe myself to be is going to determine and dictate the actions I take in any area of my life. Our self-image is simultaneously responsible for the level of income we have, the houses we live in, the people we marry and our relationships, the people we attract to us in every area, including sales and business, the businesses we build or fail to build, opportunities we take advantage of or don't, vacations we go on, whether they're really great or super shitty, whether we stay at the Ritz-Carlton or the Motel 6, all of that is hinged on the image because of one word. One word is consistency. We will always be, in fact, it's impossible. It's impossible. This has been proven. The studies have been done to ever act different than the self-image. We cannot act inconsistent with the sort of person I truly conceive myself to be. And so we can't outrun it. And if you hear just work harder and hustle, the thermostat is set, brother, and it's going to determine how fast you can run. Now, short-term sprints, perhaps. What happens is, and then we begin to self-sabotage because we've hit our upper limit. It's called an upper limit problem. You've hit the upper limit, and then what happens is all sorts of crazy shit. You start to self-sabotage. You end up like getting sick. I'm feeling under the weather. No, you're not. You hit your upper limit, and you're up, and you're self-sabotaging, or you're watching cat videos on YouTube, or you're procrastinating, and the list goes on and on and on. The self-image is at the core here. So that's the answer. That's the answer. Nothing else.
Consistency.
It's the self-image which we will always act consistent with. So in other words,
gotcha.
Okay, got it. My actions are so. In other words, let's just take this. If I conceive myself to be truly deep down inside, if I truly believe that I am the sort of person that is worthy of absolute financial abundance, which means that I can do what I want, when I want, how long I want, with whom I want, for as long as I want, with zero restrictions, then that would mean that my actions are going to be consistent with that belief system, which means I take action I uplift other people. I go out and create value in the marketplace. I work aggressively, but I work with passion. I leave people better off than I found them. I solve big problems for people. I don't get distracted or down or discouraged when I have problems or challenges come my way, because I'm the sort of person who solves big problems. And the opposite is also true. If my self-image is, if I'm a faker, now this is not a judgment thing, because we're not here to judge different images, because it's just a matter of acknowledgement of, if I'm set at a 55 on the thermostat and I know that I would want to be at an 80, well, there's a big gap between 55 and 80. So we have to do the inner work so that the actions will flow naturally from the thermostat changing, the dial on the thermostat. So the opposite is also true. If I truly conceive myself to be someone who is not worthy of that, I can never work hard enough to make up for it, or I won't. Let me be more accurate. When I go to do the thing that are the actions that the other person is also taking, that conceives himself to be someone who's worthy of financial abundance, I'm actually going to do it differently. What's coming from me is a different thing. And Bob Proctor, the late Bob Proctor, would say that success is not about doing certain things, but doing things in a certain way. And so it comes down to that. We're saying things differently. People can pick up, just like a horse can pick up fear, right? People can pick up something. We're vibrating. They can pick up a sense of assuredness and confidence, and not but confidence. They know that you're the sort of person that they want to be around. All of that is based on the self-image. And that's at the heart of it all. So if the self-image is regulated to a certain point, they're just not going to then set the goal. So it's like this. Self-image is the driver. Goal setting is, so if that's the cause, the effect would be big goal setting. Like, I'm going to sell 50 homes this year, or 75 homes, or whatever the goal is, whatever the income goal is. I'm going to make $500,000. That is only going to happen when the self-image is in alignment with that sort of an outcome. So then you set the goal that is bigger than anybody but that's observing it. They're like, holy, it's pretty big. And that's how the goal gets big, is because you believe you're worthy of that. And then you take the actions that are in alignment with the self-image and you go after it, and you don't stop, and you make a committed decision and you go. That's it.
Do you think that that's the reason why people, when they set goals, like they like set the goal and then they sort of like keep it to themselves, like set it aside, like lock it away,
Yeah.
like don't ever tell anybody about it, like never,
Because
I want to sell 50 homes.
Well, look, if you can't, accountability is a key thing, and most people can't hold themselves accountable. So accountability, the lack of accountability, is a paradigm. If you're floppy about this stuff, you're never going to do it. If you say, I'm going to see if I can sell 50 homes this year, I'll give it a shot, you're never going to fucking do it. Because here's the thing, you're not holding yourself, you're not putting yourself on the hook. And that is not going to allow you to get out of bed before the world wakes up and get after it every single day and lead generate. When I just had a conversation with an agent on my team yesterday, great guy, and also is wanting to do more. I said, look, man, yesterday I went home for lunch. My house is like 5 minutes from here, so it's like not a big deal. I go for lunch because it's healthy and I can see my family, and they're home for Christmas. And my daughter's laying on the floor next to the fireplace in her sweatpants with my dog rubbing the dog's belly, right? I'm like, that looks really nice. The whole thing, like the lying on the floor, the rubbing the dog's belly, the sweatpants. Like,
I think I might take the rest of the day off.
Yeah.
And just go.
And I said,
I'm gonna rub the dog belly too.
Rub the belly. It's all bare and there it is. And so what I said to him was, you know what? I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I had my lunch and I went back to the office, and he said, why? I said, because I got shit to do, man. I said, I got some stuff to do. And what's a stronger driver for me than rest and relaxation? There was a time for that. I just got back from vacation. Don't get me wrong. But a stronger driver for me is my goals and being consistent with the image that I hold and my values. I value certain things. I value, one of my values is exploration, is travel with the family. And the more that I can do that, I'm happier. And the more I do things that are in alignment with that value system, the more my self-esteem is bolstered. And I also am lining these things up with the self-image, and my values and my self-esteem are all right here. Whenever I'm acting inconsistent with that, I'm actually unhappy. So there's a lot there. The psychology is the driver, and this stuff isn't discussed, which is why my passion is to bring this stuff to the real estate industry, to everybody really, but there's a place for it, and I think agents would do a lot better if they understood what's underneath this. What are the mechanics? Because we all know, back in here, there's a bunch of books, and there's a book over here you can't see. One is Think and Grow Rich, and the other one is a book about how to make $1 million in real estate net. So we don't need more fucking information. Like, it's all there. We right? It's all around you. The Google machines are busting with information. So how is it possible that before, in order to get the information, you need to climb the top of a fucking mountain and speak to the guru? Or like Napoleon Hill had to go hook him up with some Andrew Carnegie, or you'd have to go to the library and dig through pages and pages and step on the shoulders of giants in that way. But now we can just go to our phones and get all the information. So,
well, what I think, this is something that just struck me. So, because you had mentioned, books, we don't need more information, because I have the same thing going on. I've got that bookshelf, and then there's another bookshelf,
right.
And then out in the other room, there's another bookshelf, and downstairs there's another bookshelf. They're all filled with books, and I have read 75% of them. I was going to lie to you and say I've read most of them. I have not. I've read 75% of them.
Yeah, same here. Totally.
And there's an interesting thing that I discovered with a lot of the books is that they'll tell you how, but they never tell you why. So, which is something that led me to dig deeper into this. And this is why this is a great honor for me to even talk to you about this, quite honestly. I'm better give up now. Can you tell?
I can tell. I'm ready. Okay. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. So
I appreciate
because
that.
what you're talking about is a way for a person to actually get out of that system where you have to, you get stuck in the system of like, I need more information. I need more knowledge. I need more this. I need more that. Right. And so you just continue to buy books, and you sign up for this and you sign up for that, and you do these things. And, like the brokerage is doing this training, they said that I need to take it, 15 times in the next 6 years. Do you know who I'm talking about? Yes, me too.
Yeah. Every time you take it, we make more money. And, and that's good. And that money is good. Yeah.
Right. But your knowledge base will increase, so that's why you need to take it. It's like, well, do I get a frequent flyer discount for that? Nope. No frequent flyer discount. But the point that I see that you're making, and that is that you're showing people how to break that. They already know what it is that they need to know. They already have all the knowledge. Now they just need to know why. I mean,
underneath if you look at it like there's so many analogies we can give, but if you look at like a computer program runs a program out, it runs the program. We run the program. And what's the program? The program is what was instilled in us, mostly in our youth. So we're running out the program, but we don't know that. We don't know that we're running out the program. So most of what you're going to get when it comes to real estate training and all the courses and the blogs and is to suggest that you do this certain thing. Do this and you'll have that. The process for change is be, do, have. Be, do, have, not do, be, have. But and most of it actually goes have, do, be. In other words, if you had the house, the mansion, you would somehow take the actions that you would be a result of having the house, and then somehow you'd be successful. It's not that way. It's be, do, have. Now, the truth. Now, in case there's anybody here that's listening to this and says that Kevin sits in his office and sings "Kumbaya fucking ya," and somehow money reigns. That's not it either, by the way, because it's a two-step process. It's work on the inner self so that the self-image is adjusting. And there's ways to do that. We can talk about that later. But and then read, like you read books, right? You learn, but how do you fill the loop here is you take the actions. So if you read something, you go, that's really good. Ooh, hold on a second. Hold on, that was good. Hold on. Okay. All right, now today when I go to work and I got my work pants on, I'm gonna do the thing that I read here. And so there's the breakdown, because most people aren't doing that. So it is in the doing. Do the thing and you'll have the power. Do the thing and you'll have the power. So when you do it, what's happening then is you're going, okay, read. Okay, worked on myself. I'm getting my self-image improved because I decided the sort of person I'm going to move towards, who I want to be more like, and different attributes of the right type of person I want to be when I grow up. And then I'm going to read books to get insights from other people and model after the best in the world in the area that I'm looking to improve upon. And then I go to work and I do the thing that I learn, I apply it, and then I go, okay. Okay, got it. I did this thing. I said this. Let's say it's prospecting. Okay, I said the thing that they said to say. And okay, interesting. I have a data point now that I'm going to then use and run it through the filter here. And I didn't like the outcome exactly, but I have data. I have data. And now I'm going to, you told me I could swear. So I'm going to take that data and I'm going to go back to the drawing board. And I'm going to say, okay, next time slightly better. And here's how. You see that? This is a process. You're your own, you're you Inc. and you're the scientist of your own life, and you get a chance to do this stuff. But this is not happening by and large. 90% of agents don't do what I just described.
90% of people.
95% actually. It's in the doing. Honestly, it's the doing.
Sounds like you have data.
I have data. I do. And this didn't just come. I didn't learn this early on. I did real estate for 8 years of like not knowing this stuff, right? That's a long time. Just set an egg timer and let's just stare at each other for 8 years. It's a long time.
That sounds uncomfortable too.
It does. I know. I got to watch you go to the bathroom and
Oh, we got to do that stuff? Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
I thought I'd have to sit here for 8 years.
Just hold it. Yeah.
Right. I would.
No, I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, I've gone to the bathroom 3 times since I've been on this, so it's.
Pull the old Gatorade jug trick, huh?
Right. Oh
Yeah,
man, you don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's in the self-image as the underneath, and then you say, well, how do I learn who I should aspire to be like or act like? Well, it's through reading and digesting information. And then then you take that and you say, okay, I'm going to do the thing. And that's, if you don't do the thing, all you're doing is just compiling information. And you're one smart you got all the books up here, and you could talk about it. We know plenty of people like that. That just, these days, everybody wants to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move the lips. It's a bunch of gibberish. Fuckers act like they forgot about Dre. You know? So
that's awesome.
I heard Eminem this morning when I was working out, and I was just jamming to that song. Do you know this song?
Yeah. I'm not really. No, I'm not really a big rap guy.
I'm not either.
Yeah. No,
you get what I'm saying.
Interestingly, the music that I listen to, none of it has words. I don't know how that came about, but I just don't like music with words.
Beethoven.
Mozart.
Baroque.
Now you're giving me too much credit. I love electronic. Oh, I love electronic.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah.
Let's talk about that later. Off camera. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, there was one thing that you said too that and it's my favorite word. And so when that's probably actually my favorite word. Yeah. Okay, so this one is my second favorite word, but you said decide.
Yeah, decide.
Yeah. So
Design.
it's really that simple, isn't it?
It's a matter of our choices. We're making choices, and our choices then choices is then going to allow. We make a choice to do something, and then we do it, and we do it over and over again, and then that becomes a habit. That's all a habit is. It's something I've done enough to where I take it from the conscious, and it ends up going down to subconscious. So I'm doing it without even knowing I'm doing it. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to give any conscious thought to it. So that's a habit. So our choices are defining us. And you've heard that before. Our choices define us. And so we are choosing, making a decision. So the word decide is a powerful word if you break it up into its root form, which is 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙧, Latin, which stands for to cut away from. It's interesting. People use the word and they don't even know what the hell that means. I've decided. Show me how you've decided. Show me your calendar. Show me your version of 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙧, of cutting away from. Because if you cut away from all possibilities of retreat, then your calendar is going to show me. If you're a real estate agent and you don't have any appointments on your calendar, I look at your calendar at a week glance and you've got nothing going on. You haven't 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙧 nothing, because you haven't cut away from any possibility of retreat. When someone makes a committed decision, it is cutting the mooring lines to the shore that ties you, and you have committed to success for your family, for you, whatever that big thing is that is so important to you. You'll do whatever it takes.
Well, I've heard it described as the fuck it moment.
Yeah. There is see, when we're talking like this too, I get like chills up and down, because it means that much. It means that much because I've been there. You've been there. You've been on the other side of this thing where it's just not a good place to be. And I think people give up, David. I think they give up, because when you get beat in the face so many times, and it's only so much that you can take, and they're like, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's just make something up that I'm okay with mediocrity.
Right. Well, yeah, that in and of itself is the deciding, because they made the decision. You know, like
they made the decision. Yeah.
You know, they venture out just far enough where they get their ass kicked, and they're like, well, I don't really like that. You know, so then they decide to go back to where they think they're safe. And
which is not. But right.
When that's what I'm constantly amazed by, especially with real estate agents. I'm amazed by people in general, you know, on this particular point, but real estate agents in particular, because this is the one thing that I found with real estate agents that's similar across, I would say the vast majority, probably 98% of the agents that I've talked to, is that they have a fierce sense of individuality. Okay. They want to control the trajectory of their life. They realize that whatever it is that they're doing at that particular moment, they can't actually do that. And so they want to control the trajectory of their life. And then they get into the business, they do the things, they take the test, they pay the dues, they're in the MLS, they do the, you know, they're with the brokerage, they do the things, right? And then something happens though. And that's what you're talking about too, is that it's the, you know, they made this big leap, and now they've determined that it's actually kind of scary. Yeah. Ooh, this is uncharted waters. I don't really like this. Yeah. And so then they have a tendency to start to move back to things that they're more comfortable with, which looks like standard employment. And I've seen that with agents that have immense talent, much more talent than I've got. Right. I mean, they're pinky, right? Like, yeah. Oh, I see it. I feel it when I'm around them. You know, like when you talk, I'm thinking about one in particular right now. Like, it gives me goosebumps, because it's like they've got they've got it. All they need to do is just go a little bit further, just and do exactly what you're talking about too. You know, going back into the spokes of real estate. Just pick one. What talks to you? Like, I mean, you don't want a cold call. Cool. Don't cold call then. You don't want to do that. You have no passion behind it. What do you really like? Well, I like working with older people. Great. Then maybe that's where you should gravitate towards. Why don't you get in with estate attorneys? so that when the older clients are planning with the estates, right, and trying to get everything set up, where maybe a liquidation of some real estate assets is necessary, that you're in with the real estate attorney, and the real estate or the estate attorney says, I've got this guy that I know, and he's really great, and he loves working with people like you. You could do that sort of thing. But instead of doing that, they're like, you know what? Life wasn't so bad when I was getting a paycheck. I wonder what would happen if I just sold real estate part of the time, and then I spent the majority of my time getting a paycheck. That would work. Because I know that you've seen this too. What happens to those agents in your experience?
When they don't actually do the thing, you mean
when they don't actually do the thing? They did the they didn't choose a spoke, right?
Right. Oh,
And so now they're gravitating, and they've got the full-time job. They've got their Yep, they've got their full-time job, and then they're going to sell real estate on the side now because it was too scary to sell real estate full-time.
Right. They're not going to make their way back. They're not going to make their way back in. And the reason why is it's like a rocket ship trying to take off, like, and you've got one little like firecracker, like it takes a
like falls over, blows up.
It takes a lot of velocity to get the rocket ship off the launch pad. And so if you're just dabbling in real estate, you're doing like, maybe you sell 5 homes a year, with the thought that you'll eventually get back into it based on what momentum. This is about momentum. It's doing the thing every single day, so there's consistency and momentum building. The momentum is an underutilized, misunderstood concept. It's when you get something going, it's going, and you're going, and it's going. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Objects at rest tend to stay at rest. And so when you get in motion in real estate and you're going out there and you're doing something every single day, that's why I advocate for daily lead generation, because you are using the power of momentum. And most agents are not willing to do the thing every day. They'll do it and then they'll stop. There's the momentum gone, right? You ever go on vacation and you lose momentum? and so the part of me is like, damn, I want to go. I've got forward progress here. This thing is, this ball is moving fast. And so there's a big part of it. Going back to your thing on choice though, I use objects to describe things. So like, what's this? Well, this is the choice. It's actually the top of my bottle. But
okay. I was like, I don't even know. I don't know what that is.
It's the choice. But let's say at some point, we don't know when it happened, but I'm going to make a choice that I'm going to be a have-not versus a have. You have two choices to make. You choose have, or you choose have AirPods, or have not, which is the top of my bottle. So let's say that you've chosen, I'm going to be a have not. Once you make that decision, then everything that you do is going to be, all your actions, all your justifications, all your rationalizations are going to wrap that decision tightly. And it's going to be protected because the ego is really sensitive and it cannot handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. The Tom Cruise line in So look, I'm wrapping it. It's in there. It's deep in there and I can't get it out. And so now I made the decision. So everything is okay. It's okay. It's all right. So 2 vacations a year, I'm okay. That's fine. It's good. FINE, fine. Really? Is that what you really? Or did you want to go to more? Well, it's all right. We're good. We like to go to Florida and we go to Orlando and we like to go to no, I'm not mocking that because Michiganders go down there. But
I was going to say that is the best Wisconsin accent I've ever heard.
Yeah,
before.
I know. Well, it's Michigander, but see, so now we're wrapping the decision around the have not thing. So now we're here's where we are. So and then everything we do is to justify that decision that was made back then to be a have not. Have nots then act out has have notness, and then they'll justify, rationalize, and judge other people for making the decision to be a have. So the have says, I'm going to go after everything that I want to. It's not a matter of do I believe I'm worthy of. I made a decision at one point to be a have, and then all my actions after that are flowing from that decision. And so in order to change that, we got to unravel and take take the tape off, and that's the self-image, and coming out and saying, hey, what, no, wait a minute, like God's highest form of creation, that's a pretty powerful notion. But God's highest form of creation. So if that's true, and it is, then why are we acting like we're not? Why are we acting like somehow this person over here has more than me, and they're capable of more than me, or somehow they are more special than me, and all of that's all just mental garbage. The self-image is powerful.
Now here's a question, and I know you've run into this before, and I've run into this, but this seems to be something that I don't actually have the capability of answering, I think, in the way that you can answer this. So people that I've had on my team, or people that I coach, other agents, you know, they want to make the decision to be a have, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they feel that the people that are around them, whether it's a spouse or a family member or whatever, you know, are sort of like keeping them in the have not area.
Right.
Like how do they deal with that?
Yeah, well, that is a real life thing. This is not something that we just avoid. It's for most people, it's like, I think everybody that goes through the journey is going to have that in their life.
Yeah, I did.
And it's a part of it's one of those upper limit problems, which you know, self-image is keeping us from breaking through, so we end up sabotaging, but we're also then use that we end up then lowering ourselves down to match our environment. And so if we're around people that are pulling us down, imagine you want to launch, and you got like balloons, and you're hanging on to them, and it's pulling you in the air, and you're like, yes, I'm free, right? You're going up in the air, and all of a sudden all these people that don't want you to do that are pulling down on your feet and keeping you down, because it's painful to watch somebody go for something, and then because you have to acknowledge that you're not. It's painful. So that's why they want you to stay where you are, and will judge you and ridicule you and pull you back down and say, who do you think you are? And all that other shit. So, but I'm not sure that's your question. Your question is, how do you do it? How do you break through that? Right. So it depends on where they are in proximity and their importance to you in your life. If they're like immediate family, like, you know, in the house, you know, in your family unit, like right there with you, that's a lot more challenging than, say, a cousin or a brother that doesn't live nearby you. So one thing is to just spend less time with and less frequency with, so you can still love them, but from afar. Mm-hmm. And just do it less often, because I always say we can't afford to take a vibrational hit for long periods of time, meaning that we're vibrating, and we're the essence of us is vibrating. So if we're working on positivity and being uplifting and positive thinking and reaching towards a better thought, and always looking for the positive in everything, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into an environment of Debbie Downers and negativity and thinking about gossiping and talking about the news and what's their favorite sitcom to watch, and you're over here talking about business building and where you're going and vision, and they're like, let's talk about The Price is Right, and you're like, no. So there's this pull. You just can't be around it for too long, and so you just avoid that as long as you possibly can. I shouldn't say that. You avoid as much as you can, not as for as long as you possibly can. So you have a choice to make about proximity and the frequency and the duration. So less often and less time, and then you can be on your fly high and disc. Even in those environments, if you work on yourself enough, you can be around that negativity, just not for terribly long. So if it's a person that's in your life, like really in your life, then there's a choice to make there. One is I'm thinking,
I'm thinking about a particular example actually, where there was an agent who was on my team, and the thing that he would always tell me, he was like, I want to do more, but you know, my wife like keeps giving me like all these things that I need to do. So the more that I do, it seems like the more that she's actually like piling on top of me. And then, and I said, well, why don't you just ask her if that's actually what she's doing? And so he was like, oh, okay. And so he did ask her. And then this was what she said. She said, I'm afraid that you're going to wind up taking too much time away from our family as you do these things, because he let her know, like, this is what my goal is, here's what I want to accomplish. And then she got like freaked out and was like, wait a second, if he does these things, then he's not going to be around.
Sure.
And so And this is what I told him, and you can tell me if this is incorrect. And I even offered to show up, which, that would probably be a little bit awkward. Here the team leader is having this conversation, with a spousal unit. But I said, so just let her know, like, if you are able to accomplish these things, here are the things that we together will be able to accomplish. So, and that this is so important to me that I think that this is a function of who it is that I want to become and who I'm bound to become and destined to become. And if I'm held back from doing that, I fear that I might have resentment. So is there a way that we can figure out how to do this? Well, anyway, I don't know whether he had the conversation or not. But
well, I mean, that's good. I mean, look, it a lot of this stuff is these conversations that are not easy, fierce conversations, if you will. There's so many different ways that you can communicate something, and most people want to say something. In sales training, I say stop throwing a spear. Instead, use a hook. So we have hooks and spears are statements which close the mind, and hooks are questions which open the mind. And so I would use that sort of way. And that was good. I mean, you expressed what you gave him the tool to express his true feelings. I think it's important to do that. And that this is something that he feels strongly about, and that he wants her to be a part of it. So I think that's important. I think that's it. Look, we all have something that's locked within us that we are. Don't make me bring out my seed. Hold on, I got my seed. The seed that is locked within us, and our job is to figure out what that is. So if we're trying to soar, and someone doesn't want us to soar, see if they're willing to put on some wings and go along with you, and let them know how important it is. I personally don't have that. That in my life, like someone trying to hold me down from that perspective. But I'm glad I don't. And at the same time, man, you got to do what you got to do. If you think about your zone of genius, this is the thing that you're really meant to do. And you're brought here on planet Earth to do that thing. And most people don't get an opportunity to actually find out what that zone of genius is. Like, crack it open and, there's wow, I'll be darned. There it is. Shit, right there it is. Weird that it was in my elbow this whole time. So, but then someone's like, no, I hear you. Your zone of genius. Tell you what, you just don't do that. Just bury that shit deep down inside, and I'll be happier. Right. And then they say conceal, don't feel. Just bury.
Well, I'm amazed at how many people do that, though. That they have these things that they want to do, and they're too afraid to actually do them because they have people that are around them that will maybe even overtly prevent them from doing it. They're not even kind of like manipulating behind the scenes, doing all these other things. It's pretty like out in the open.
Well, that's very selfish.
Yeah.
It's not selfish of the person that wants to do it. It's selfish of the person that's overtly or inovertly doing it. One is intentional and the other one is unintentional or unknowing. And they're both selfish because, we came here, if you believe that we're spirits, we're spiritual beings in physical bodies, and we're transitioning through a physical phase here on planet Earth. Yeah. And then we're going to go back from whence we came, and then we're going to continue our journey. But the people that we're here banging around planet Earth with, like there are other people that have their own journeys, right? We happen to be living in the same box with them.
I love how we're banging around with them, oh, hey, bumping into people like we are spinning on this ball of mud out in this vacuous nothing.
Well, I mean, we do get a chance, and I give thanks every morning. Something like I'm grateful for my family. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share experiences with this unique group of people, which happens to be my family. Recognizing fully that, I don't know if I had another family that I happen to be banging around with for, 80 years, I would love them too. You know, I would love them too. So we get a chance to spend time with certain people. And so, but they all have their own journey. And so who are we to hold anybody back? Because it's their unique journey, and it's my unique journey, and it's your unique journey. And I don't know that people really talk about that much.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I know that they don't. Well, I mean, look at all the stuff that's going on around us. I mean, not just even in the real estate industry. I mean, just everywhere, you know, and that was one thing that I was going to bring up. It seems like gratitude's an important part of your life.
Oh, I just shared a big piece on it this morning. Well, every day I do, but sometimes something jumps out, and I share it with the team. And this morning, of all things, it's no surprise that you share this with me. It's December 29th, 2022. And in my daily stoic, for December 29th is give thanks. And here, I'll read this to you because I think it's appropriate. This is what he said. Now, you just said something. Now, I always say that there's no coincidences in the world. I believe that to be true. Think of all the things that you can be grateful for today, that you are alive, that you live in a time primarily of peace, that you have enough health and leisure to read this book. What of the little things, the person who smiled at you, the woman who held the door open, the song that you like on the radio, the pleasant weather. Ooh, that's good. Gratitude is infectious. It's positively radiant. Even if today was your last day on earth, if you knew in advance that it was going to end in a few hours, would there still be plenty to be grateful for? How much better would your life be if you kicked off every day like that? If you let it carry through from morning to night and touch every part of your life. So there's an example of gratitude, and I shared that with my team this morning. And it's interesting how, like, when you read stuff like this, it impacts you. So the woman who held the door open for you. So I go to the bank today, and I was in a hurry to get the videos done and get back here to do this with you. And I had to go to the bank, and I got to go to the bank. I didn't have to go anywhere. I got to go to the bank. It was a pleasure to go to the bank. And I was running into the bank, like running. And I got to the door, and I kind of ran by this woman who was like, I would say 50 feet back this way. And I knew she was going to go in the bank too. And I was like, maybe I'll beat her to the line. And so I got to the door, and I opened the door, and I stood there, and she had, like, let's say there was like 7 seconds yet before she would make it to the door. And instead of rushing up to the line, I stopped and I held the door for her, and I just held it open. And it took her a while. I mean, she was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she gets to the door, and she grabs it. She said, well, thank you very, very much. That was very thoughtful, and you didn't need to do that. And I just looked at her, and I said, you're absolutely welcome. It's the least I could do. And she looked at me like sideways. She's like there was something that happened there. Like, that was different than what I'm used to. Mm-hmm. And so I think everything happens for a reason. And I also,
without a doubt.
Yeah, I let that stuck with me this morning too. That idea of holding the door open for a stranger for a longer amount of time than what would be considered customary. Yeah. Try that, by the way. It's really good. People really appreciate it. You make it. You know?
I love. Well, it's interesting that you bring that up as like the small acts of kindness.
Yeah.
You know, to other people, especially, and this is the especially part, especially when it's inconvenient.
Oh, right.
Those are the ones that I like. Acts of kindness, especially when it's inconvenient. Like, you know, you're running into the bank, you're doing the thing, you're in a big hurry, you got the stuff going on, you know, and it's like, ooh, it's gonna be really inconvenient for me to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm gonna hold the door for her.
Right.
I gotta go. Yeah. And then it's like,
dude, yes.
Boom, you know, like blessings, you know, and like all this amazing stuff happens, you know, and it's like, well, I wasn't really expecting that. And it's like, right. And I think this is my take on it. And this is the whole reason for this podcast too, is that, you know, it's to give, you know, like I would be going and taking listings. You could be taking listings. You could be prospecting. You could be doing these things. You could be doing whatever, you could be, honestly, you could probably be taking a nap with your daughter at the house with the dog and the PJs and the sweatpants and the fire and the everything. Yeah. And it's like, well, why didn't you do that? And it's like, well, because you're doing this because you're giving value, which you've given huge value, and is it inconvenient? Well, yeah, it's inconvenient, because it's outside of the things that you normally do. And I have not a doubt in my mind that as a result of that, probably will even happen today, that there will be another thing that'll happen, like, oh, yeah, I like that, and it's all as a result from, just doing, they call it like the little extra bit, right? People always refer to it, I think, as a little extra bit. If you're really truly doing the little extra bit, it's going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it is. Do you mean just going a little bit further than what?
Yeah. Whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, and that was, I learned that a long time ago from my dad, actually. I got to plug my headset in. It's going to die. Hold on.
Right on. Hey.
All right.
Yeah. I was going to get some water, but I just realized that looks like there's a bunch of agents that just arrived, and I'll get entangled in a conversation.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it'll be like hey, do you have time for a quick second?
Oh, yeah, got a minute. Yeah, sure.
30 minutes later. Yeah, so the what I learned from my dad, and I didn't, this is how my mind works. I didn't understand that I had actually learned it until I looked back into the past and sort of like was like recollecting and reminiscing. My dad's still alive. I love my dad, because one of the most, I'm trying to say this so it's accurate, because of course he's my dad and I would embellish it happily. He is a very successful business person. So I was going to say the most brilliant businessman that I've ever met, which I think that he is. Is he? But everything that he did, it always seemed to work out, right? Even when it wasn't really working out. So he did farm machinery dealer. He was a farm machinery dealer. So he sold Case and International Harvester and a bunch of other stuff. And of course, I'm in Montana, so we all know what that means. So other people that are watching this are like, "What the hell?" Like, just don't worry about it. But the he ran a great farm machinery business, highly profitable, made those companies lots and lots and lots of money. And they were starting to merge a lot of those companies together, right? Because Case is now not just Case, it's Case IH, which is Case International Harvester, because they merged the companies. And as they were starting to merge the companies, they were starting to take dealers out of the mix. And so here he is, highly profitable, running a tight ship, been doing it his whole life. And they walked in and they shut him down, took the franchise away. It was a big deal.
Wow.
Because it went from like, I know where my trajectory is. This is how it's going. And now all of a sudden it's like, like, poof, it's just gone.
Yeah. Wow.
So he opened a tire shop. So he has a big shop, right? So he opened a tire shop. And I never really took that for what it actually was. He took an extremely profitable, successful business that was basically like just disappeared on him, pivoted it to a tire shop without basically even moving or missing a beat. And the tire shop was a highly successful, profitable tire shop. Totally different things. And then he told me what the secret was. My dad, when he would do maintenance on farm machinery, if say it was not a huge part, like not like a combine header or something, but say it was like a starter or an alternator, needed belts or something like that, he would take it. He would take the parts, he would put them in an airplane that he bought specifically for this, and he would fly it out to the farm, and he would install the parts on the farm, right? He didn't have to do that. Did he charge him for it? I charged him shop rate. Did he charge him for air freight, air travel? No, he didn't do any of that. He just would land out on the county road and taxi into their driveway and jump out with his, with his toolbox or whatever, like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they give him a cup of coffee or whatever. He'd jump over there and work on the thing, repair it, whatever, pile up all his stuff, get on the county road, fly, take off, poof, just done. And so then in the tire
Can I
shop,
stop you just for? Can I stop you just for a minute? I don't want to.
yeah,
Can you land a small plane on a county road legally?
yeah,
You don't have to be on an airport landing strip. You can do it anywhere you damn well please, and legally take off from like a dirt road.
yeah. So interstates, highways, no. So
Right.
if you
I got
land
that.
on
I
a
got that,
highway,
yeah.
yeah, you better
Yeah,
declare an emergency.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So the same thing with taking off. I mean, because it's a big deal. You've got to like close the road down, and
Right.
stuff like that. But like on a county road, no, like the farmer would go out in his truck and like go down to the end of the road, like turn his flashers on and like stand next to the truck. Right. And if somebody came up like, oh, just wait for a second, that, he's
Yeah.
taking off. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this a Montana thing? Or I'm
might be.
getting the sense. Okay, I'm getting the sense that like I couldn't just go out here and hop in my Cessna and go down to the county road and go "Brr," and then just take off. I mean, I'm fascinated. I hope I can.
I'll have to look into it. I know that.
Okay,
I
please
know
let me know.
yeah,
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. So don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't hold you that one.
No.
I get
No.
arrested and like David.
Yeah,
like
I don't
David
know.
Said.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's legal. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
They're like,
have
who's
no
this
idea.
David fella. I'm like, David.
Yeah,
Montana.
Johnson. Dan,
Yeah,
no, it's
David
Dan Johnson. Actually, his name's on
Right.
here.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Yeah.
So okay, sorry, I interrupted. I just had to
Yeah.
know. Okay, go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
and
The tire
so
store.
yeah, so that was one of the things, and so now he's got a tire shop, and there would be people that would call the shop. It'd be after hours, right? Clearly after hours, 7:30 at night, and he would happen to be down there. Let's say he wasn't there all the time, but a lot of times he'd be down there. He'd be like doing the books. They're like, "We have a flat tire." And I was like, "Okay, where are you at?" And they're like, "We're out on the highway." And he was like, "Okay, how long? Like, do you need it done now?" "Yeah, we need it done now." "Okay, I'll be right out."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he would jump in the service truck. And so that became kind of my job too, is that I was the service truck guy.
Mm.
And I know that this is a long story, but there's a really big point to this. And it does make me emotional because I love my dad.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
And one day I came back and I told him I was like done doing all of this service work. I'm done. I don't want to go out in the truck anymore. Like, how come all the other guys like get to hang out in the shop and they like, put on tires and whatever, and they have like their cup of coffee and like everything's good for these guys. And I'm out on the
cozy,
I'm out on the road, like, like hoping that people see that I put out the cones and that the lights are on and that that I don't get like run over and like all these things, And he said, "Yeah, I understand. It's really inconvenient. I totally get it." And he said, "But you got to understand that it's the little things that keep this place going."
Mm.
And at the time, of course, because I was like 19 or 20 at the time, and I was just like, "Dad, it's the little things that keep this place going. Like, you just, I'm cheaper than the other guys. That's why you have me out there." He gave me an opportunity to learn something that I use it as much as I possibly can. I was going to say every day, but that's probably dishonest because I don't know if I use it every day. But it's just doing the little extra thing.
Yeah.
And it's usually and it's usually inconvenient and it's usually uncomfortable and it's usually bothersome but people don't even pay attention. Like in a real estate transaction, we do the thing, right? We go under contract, we do the thing, we get to the closing. Oh yeah, it was really great. We did the thing. We got and then there are a couple of instances that I can think of. But the big one is that there was this older couple that I helped sell their house, right? And it was a very difficult sale. They were overpriced in the beginning. I had let them know that they're overpriced in the beginning, that we need to do price reductions. We got to do the stuff, whatever. And they were resistant. They didn't want to do it, but they did it finally. We finally got it under contract and we finally got to the close. And the whole reason they were doing this is so they can get down to their uh, son or daughter because their grandkids live further down south. That's the whole reason why they did it. And throughout the entire process, they were really concerned about rentals because they were going to rent. They're like, we haven't been able to find a rental. I don't know how we're going to do this. So the entire time that we were under contract, I know that this is a big deal to them. And it only took me like 1 or 2 minutes, like at a sitting, is that I would call property management companies and I would interview them. And I would let them know, like, hey, this is what's happening. This is important. Here's the reason why they're doing it. These guys are really great people. And a lot of the property managers were like, yeah, whatever. We don't really give a shit. I found 2, though, that were like, okay, yeah, we'll take them and move them to the top of the list. And this was, I don't know, probably 6 years ago. So it was before like the big boom. And so a couple of days before closing, one of the property managers was like, I think that we found one that might work for him. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And I kind of expected something like that would happen. And so at the closing table, when we were done, I just handed him a piece of paper and I said, here's the name and a number of somebody. I've been talking to property managers while you're under contract. I know you've been looking too, but I think that they have a place that might work for you. So when you're done here, just give them a call.
Just like, and their response was?
Well, her response was like teary, like,
yeah, right.
Right. And Bob was like, thank you. I appreciate that. Cause he was like, Mr.
Right.
I got a handshake or whatever.
Right.
And what's interesting about that is that those guys, they don't even live in the state anymore. They have referred more business to me.
Oh yeah.
From the people that live up here still that they're in communication with than anybody that I've ever received referrals from that actually lives here.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
The term going over and above, that's obviously overused, but that extended way beyond the scope of what our normal fiduciary, far beyond fiduciary and into friendship, and then even extending beyond that. Like truly, I think she still fall, I think it might even fall under the probably a broader definition of fiduciary, which is to look out for someone. Right. To look out for the best interest of another individual, which is what you were doing, but way beyond the scope of your job. That's awesome, man. Like that's like life changing, and that had an impact, obviously, forever.
Yeah. Well,
like that is perfect.
Here's the fun part about it too, is that I can go back, and I've thought about it a few different times. It took me about 16 minutes. Yeah. Right.
Well, it reminds me of. 2 things come to mind when you tell that story. One is about your dad, and the other is about this particular thing. Is they say, as agents, we really have a unique opportunity to be more than an agent, to be a connector, to be a resource, to be somebody that solves problems and solves a lot of problems. Thereby solving, and we're not solving like huge problems like water heaters and furnace breaking down at the transaction and inspection stuff. But like if you solve 1,000 or 10,000 little problems, you're solving big problems. And that's like service, man. Like that is like, you have an opportunity to be the local economist of choice, to be the walking Rolodex. You need a person. I got a person. Tell you what, I don't have an answer. Let me go get it for you. And then you spend 5 minutes just on the phone and you connect them together. Hey, Joe, meet Bob. Here you go. And they're like, man, I love that David guy. David's the guy. You want to go to guy, call David the guy. So like it elevates the level of our industry and also our value to the marketplace. Right.
Yep.
Let me message my lovely bride that I'm on a call with you. Hold on.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. That's so good. Well, the best part of this too is that all this, it's unedited.
Oh, I love that. So I'm texting my wife. I almost did like the standard, like you push the button that says, "Can I call you later?"
Right.
And I'm going to do like, "What's up? I love you." Yeah, I didn't do that. I love you.
Yeah.
Well, it takes too long. But so the other part, David, too, is about your dad. Is I just heard something this week, and we talk about programming. We talk about the self-image, and I heard someone say something that was interesting. This way is if you she just responded back, butt dial. Perfect. I'm off the hook. She called me with her ass, which is great. I knew something about that call.
Right.
Old man, dad humor. Is that if you don't clean this stuff up, in other words, if we don't clean up our bad programming and our negative and our really the attributes that are just not great, the parts of our personality, the facets that are just not serving ourselves or others, our family or anybody else, negativity, lack and limitation, complaining, worry, doubt, frustration, all of those things. If you don't clean that shit up, you're passing it on to your kids. Your kids are just going to go, whoop, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for programming me. And I'm going to run out the program, the automaton of that shit for the rest of my life. And I'm not going to know what it was. And the thing is I will call it fate. I will say it was not God's plan for me. And that's because our creator wants good for us. So what I love about your story of your dad is that he had nothing to clean up. He showed you like true, like it's the little things that keep the business going. Yeah, that is. Yeah, right. And doing the extra things and going the extra mile and doing the little things makes a huge difference. It doesn't take a lot of time. It takes intentionality and give. Yeah, care, right?
Yeah.
I love that, man.
And the part that I love, and I never noticed this, or I shouldn't say never noticed. I never really fully comprehended that while all this was going on, in the back of his mind, he still is like, I can't believe that they took the franchise away. Why would they do that? So here's this thing. Now that's gone. Now there's this other thing, and I've had a chance to talk to him a couple of times about it, and it's like, how did you make that transition and that pivot so quickly and basically seamlessly, because that's not an easy thing to do. And he was this is all he's ever said. He was like, you do what you got to do.
Well, look, let's just go back to the beginning. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. So you can tell the value that we're bringing to the world at large, and you can tell our mark that we're making here on planet Earth based on the size of the problem that gets you down. Based on the size of the problem gets you down. So in other words, if you're thrown off your path by a small or mediocre problem, it's a measuring stick. You just know. And so if you just know what you're bringing here to the equation. And so if you have a big problem brought to you, here we go again with the self-image though. Your dad's image is I find a way to win. I win no matter what. And I'm the sort of person who wins no matter what. Losing is not an option. In fact, I don't care if it's shipping rubber dog to China for the business, as long as there's someone in China that wants rubber dog shit. I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It could be tires, or it could be tractors, right? It doesn't matter because winning is winning. And I think that's a trait that you picked up. And I think that, we know that if you picked you up or picked me up and they just plopped us down in XYZ city in the USA, except for that one that you really don't like, Topeka, I think it is, right?
Right. I'm not a big fan
Topeka?
I'm not a big fan of Topeka.
No, I said Fargo, and you're like, oh no, I got a place for you.
Yes, it's true.
And I love it. You painted a good picture for me. So, but is that like, you just find a way to win. And so is it nature or nurture? I think it's both. And you get the good stuff genetically programmed, but then also you got the good stuff environmentally with the lessons and like, hey, this is how we do. We do winning here.
Yeah.
Right. I should say we be winning. We be winners so that we do winning, so that we have the things we want to have. That's what he taught you, which, that's powerful.
And I didn't know it. You bring up something too that I just was, I read an article, it's one of the, like the spam articles where you have to like click the thing to go to the next slide, click the thing to go
Man. Rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, I clicked on this one, because it just said that this guy
gets me every time when they want to show me like which did you see? You see Tom Cruise's how he's aged?
Right. It's like, oh, really? Interesting.
Interesting. I didn't know. And then you get to it and you're like, Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What the title on this one is that it just said this man has lived in a machine for 70 years. And I was like, lived in a machine for 70 years. And it was about this guy that he got polio when he was a kid in the 50s. And so, of course, the polio pandemic had been going on for like a long time, right? But he got it in the 50s. And so they put him in an iron lung, right? Because his lungs were stopping working. And so they put him in an iron lung. That guy, he got his law degree in an iron lung.
No.
He opened a law firm in an iron lung. He paints. His pictures are actually they're pretty impressive. I looked at a couple of them. He paints in an iron lung. He uses his mouth. There's a stick. He paints with a stick that has a paintbrush on attached. Yeah. So he wrote a book with a stick. So he would turn his head and punch it out on a keyboard. He wrote it with a stick. And so when you were talking about, nature or nurture, and when you were talking about like genetics, the thing that's so interesting is that if somebody wants to win, they're gonna win.
They're gonna win. That's right. Yeah, that's right. But that's right. I mean, just like period. Like if someone wants to win, they're going to win. Period.
Yeah.
Period. I was just having this conversation yesterday with an agent we were having a kind of like one of these conversations about winning. I just said, I said, here's the deal. I said, if you have real big, compelling reasons, like the person who has a compelling reason, the agents that do extremely well, when I see them come through the halls of Yoder Real Estate and they stay and they go, whatever, like they're here and maybe they stay for a year, maybe they stay here for 4 years. The ones that have won, they've had real big reasons to win. Hey, I'm a single father. I've got a son at home. Is a real example. I quit my job to come here. I have no other choice. I'm going to win. And that's it. What do I do? Right. Okay, come over here, put my arm around you. Here's what you do. Do what I'm doing until such time you do it better than me. And I promise you will win. If you follow this, you model after this, then you do it better than me. Okay, sound good? He's a head down, did it. And then he said, who's that guy on the board? Which we had a big sales board. So that's Ed. He said, are you top guy? I said, yeah. I said, look at his numbers there. He said, not for long. I said, great, super. I like that. I like confidence. Confidence wins the day. And a little cocky, but I'm okay with it too. Whatever. I'd rather have cocky than timid, right? And so sure as 6 months later, top guy, single father, mortgage, car payment, had to win or perish. That's it. So if you come to the equation, I think we're bumping up against another thing here is if you got nothing driving you. If you win, big deal. If you lose, who cares? And you're sort of in the cozy middle. That's where people are resting in the cozy middle.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're right in the middle, right? You hear the story about the dog on the porch. Do you hear that story?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. The hound dog that's just wailing away because he's resting on the nail, and the neighbor says, "What the hell is wrong with your dog?" Nothing. He's just lying on the nail. Well, that's it. We're just lying on the nail because it just doesn't hurt bad enough to get our in motion, and we have nothing. We don't have a big reason for doing it. If we have a big reason, we will do it.
Yeah. And what I like about what you're talking about too is that it's the two motivations. It's the pleasure motivation or the pain motivation.
Yeah. Right.
And either one works. If you're trying to do something, I'm a pain motivated person. I know that. I tried to lie to myself for years and be like, I'm pleasure motivated. No, I'm not. I'm pain motivated. I'm pain motivated. So what winds up happening is that I wind up concocting these kind of interesting scenarios in my head where it's like, okay, well that sort of stuff could happen and that would be really bad. How do I prevent that from happening? I know. I'll make a shitload of money. I'll make and then I make a shitload of money and that goes away because I know that pain, it's not a pain point for me anymore. So what do I need to do? I got to go find another pain point.
Manufacture new pain. It's interesting you say that, is that you said that manufacturing new pain. And the advice I was giving to this agent yesterday was, if you got somebody that comes in here and they live with their mom and dad, for example, and they don't really have any overhead, and you got to manufacture a goal. Like put yourself on the hook. Go out and buy a BMW. I don't care. Do something that puts you on the hook. Go out and book a vacation that costs $20,000 to travel Europe and push it out to 6 months from now. Put it on your calendar and go buy a ticket and put a down payment on that. And you're going to then, you're manufacturing reasons, right? If you don't have any reasons, make the reasons, right? Make the reasons. Make improving yourself. If you're a single guy, you don't have any reasons, or you're kind of wallowing around and meandering about life like you're a out in the bay without a rudder. Manufacture a reason. Maybe you want to attract the perfect mate. Well, how do you do that? You improve yourself. You work on yourself every day. You become worthy of having the perfect mate. You work on your body, you work on your mind, you work on your spirit, you work on your intentionality, you work on your being more uplifting, more caring, more grateful, all those things that someone would be. And by the way, you'll also attract that sort of person to you by doing that. So I think there's something in that. Yeah, you manufacture the pain, you manufacture the pleasure. I think I've also read that like the long-term manufacturing of the pain is actually like far more painful way of living than creating a big, huge vision that is like really compelling.
I'm glad that you brought that up too. Yeah. Because what this is a real life example of it is that I know that I'm pain motivated, and so I've done these things, right? Where I'm like, okay, and I haven't gone out and done like crazy, financial things, like, I went and bought an airplane, or I did this, now I'm on the hook for it, but what I'll do, because I've gone broke before. Yeah. So I know what that feels like. I remember that. I'll probably never forget that in my whole life. Here's how I define it. So as you know, I also used to be a little bit of a drinker. I don't do that anymore. So I was at my house, and this was during the Great Recession, and I didn't have any business going on, because I was a little bit in the same state that you were in when you described it, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, how do I do this thing? Because when I got into real estate, I didn't have anybody to coach me. I didn't have anybody to train me. I didn't know the fundamentals of real estate. I didn't even know there were fundamentals of real estate. I didn't know that there were like these things that you do, so I'm just kind of like, just hope that this all works out, I guess. And so I was at my house, and I felt kind of like a bum, because I wasn't doing anything. And so I decided I'd start putting the clothes away. What do? You didn't put the clothes away. I guess that's beneficial. And I was putting, my wife doesn't like me sharing this story either, but I do it anyway. I was putting her underwear away, and I realized that every single pair of underwear that she had holes in them. And I was like, what in the hell is going on here? There's a bunch of my wife's rolling around with holes in her underwear. And so when she got home, of course, because I'm concerned about this, and it's like, hey, what's the deal with the holes in the underwear? And she looked at me, and I'll never forget the look. And she said, we're broke. I don't have money. We don't have money for me to get new underwear right now.
Wow.
And
that's the kind of right there.
Yeah, that's how broke we were. Yeah. I mean, we couldn't make our mortgage payment. We were having to struggle between deciding, like, are we paying utilities, or are we going to buy food?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Right.
We paid utilities last month, so we're all caught up. So let's buy food this month.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's just, it was this terrible thing. And what happened, though, and I'll tell you how I got out of that particular case, is that I didn't have a single thing to do with it. I didn't have anything to do with how I got out of that. We wound up losing the house. Had a bunch of IRS debt. I hadn't paid my taxes, obviously, because why, who does that when you're losing your house? Right.
So the first thing you do, David, you pay your taxes.
Right. Yeah.
Then you eat.
Yeah. Yep.
And feed Uncle Sam, and then you feed your kids. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so I remember that there was this guy, and I don't really even remember who he was, but he gave me the old cassette books. You get a
Yeah.
Take
the programs with like the 7 in the cover.
Yeah.
Embedded in. Yeah.
Yeah, I still have it. I'm thinking about actually like getting it plaqued somehow.
What was it? Which one was it?
It was Mike Ferry. So it was a Mike
Interesting.
Ferry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, I guess I'll pop that out. And I started listening to Mike Ferry tape, and he said something about just get a phone book. Right. And I was like, get a phone book. And so I was like, I have a phone book. And so I got a phone book, and I started in A. And I got down to a guy, his name, last name is 𝙭𝙪𝙧. He's since passed away. And he picked up the phone, and I said, I didn't even have a script. I said, do you want to sell your house?
That's a script. I'm sorry, but I'm going to call that a script.
Yeah.
It's
the best. Yeah. It's the best that I had. And this guy,
I love that.
He said, how do I know that this isn't a scam? And I said, well, that's a good question. I don't know. I guess, we could get together. I could just show you that I'm real, and he was like, oh, okay. Right. Well, why don't we go ahead and do that? And I was like, well, so are you thinking about selling your house? And he told me, he was like, as a matter of fact, we were just talking about it this morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Okay. So I went and I talked to him, and I'm a recovering alcoholic, as you know. So I'm very, very open about that with everybody. And proud of that too. But the reason why that's important is because when I called him, I was fucking faced. Just and so I met with him the next day, and of course I was not when I met with him.
Right.
And he actually became he became instrumental in my sobriety, because he had about 46 years of sobriety.
Wow.
So the point that I'm making, and it kind of goes back to what it was that you were talking about, like things that just happen. And I won't get into all the details, because there are some details that I just can't share, because that would be unfair to him, and quite frankly unfair to me. But I wound up listing their house. I never got it sold, but I pulled 2 buyers off of it, which started my slow climb out of it, which also got me to the point where I, ultimately, it was about it would have been about 3 years after that I got sober, and he was there for that.
Oh.
And
what was it? So okay, what is it fair to say that he was the impetus behind you joining AA?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, he wasn't.
Okay. So he wasn't the cause of that.
No.
Well, I was going to say, that's a pretty amazing story, because then if that he was, then you also not only he got you out of your rut, but he also potentially saved your life, because he got you on the momentum.
He may have been. I'll have to think about that, but he may have been more important than I'm giving him credit for, because I remember sitting down and having the conversation with him, and he asked me. He asked me, like drinking questions, like the way a drunk would ask another drunk drinking questions. So of course I'm talking to him, because I'm like, dude, this guy's cool as hell. I didn't know that he had so many years of sobriety, but
what are drinking? I don't even know what drinking questions. What are drinking questions? Like flavors and what? Like
you just got to be an alcoholic.
So drinking.
If you're an alcoholic and you're talking to an alcoholic, you'll know those questions. So
drinking questions. Right.
Kudos to you. The fact that you don't know those questions off the top of your head probably is a good sign.
I kind of want to know what they are. I feel like I'm being left out.
Well,
okay. Let's have it be a separate podcast. It's called Drinking Questions. 30 minutes. Just
sorry, I got a frog in my throat. Well, one of the things is that drunks are we're really open with the things that we did. Drunks in recovery. Okay, the people that have got it figured out, that have found a program of recovery that works for them, and the important thing about this program that I'm part of is that it's totally anonymous. And so one of the traditions is that we remain anonymous in press, radio, and films. And so that's why I don't really talk about that, because that's the important element of the program. I owe that program a lot. Those people in that program literally saved my life. And so, I'll talk about it, but I refer to it as something different, and
I see.
And so the questions are a lot like, or it isn't even questions. We'll just say stuff, where it's like, I got so, that I rolled my vehicle 3 times, wound up in the
Mm.
ditch and got a DUI and spent the next 6 months in jail. Then
Mm.
everybody's like,
Mm. Oh, you might. I got one for you. That kind of stuff.
yeah. Well,
And they want to one up you on their
no,
drug story.
it's not even one up. It's not even one up.
Hmm.
I mean, we'll just sit there. And we'll laugh with one another, because the thing is that we identify with that misery, because we can talk about it now in the way that, these are the things that we did, and here's what we learned from it, and here's how we are now. And we're not like that now.
Yeah, got it.
And so I didn't realize that that's what this guy was doing, but he in a very subtle way showed me that there was a different way that you could do that. And maybe he was a little more instrumental than I give him credit for, because and I'll have to go back and kind of recollect it, but throughout the years, he actually wound up passing away here not too long ago. He got like really aggressive lymphoma and died. I still talk to his wife. She's amazing. I just love her. But that I think the ultimate point that I was making with that too is that you never really know what's going to happen, but so long as you're doing something, right? You're doing something and you've got a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Just let the rest of the stuff kind of shake out the way that it's going to shake out. And it'll take you, it'll ultimately get you, not even necessarily where you want to be at that particular moment, but where you're ultimately destined to be. And that was where, the reason why I bring this up with this guy in particular is that I just wanted to pay my utility bill.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, that was it. That was the goal. I just want to pay my bills. I want to be able to get my wife, underwear that doesn't have holes in it.
Right.
And what ultimately happened with that, and I know I'm kind of capitalizing on this because this is supposed to be about you, but I have to share this. I can look back on that from the point that I started to where I am now, and realize that it all happened exactly the way that it was supposed to happen. And along the way, I had these little pea-brained ideas of how I thought that it was supposed to look, but there were these people that were placed along the way, that were just like, keep an open mind, David. Just keep an open mind. How about this? Think about that. And the only thing that I did was I listened. I didn't know really how to do much anything else very well, but I had the ability to listen. And so I listened to these guys. I got a good life. I'm not Elon Musk by any stretch of the imagination, but I got vehicles that are paid off and
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
I have investment properties, and I'm not, having this as like a brag list, because I look at this stuff every morning, and it's even hard to understand that this is me.
Right.
That's where I was, and this is where I am now. And I look at the things that happen, in between that, and it's
amazing.
Well, it's exactly what you were talking about.
Well, it's the people that show, Steve Jobs said you can't ever connect the dots going forward, only backwards. And that's what you're talking about. And then you're also talking about, oh gosh, what is it? The Quantum Leap, in the Quantum Leap book, he talks about unseen guides, which is basically like those, the people and the circumstances and the events that show up. And you just you can't plan for that stuff.
No,
you just need a starting point and a landing place. So like this is where I'm starting, this is where I'm ending. Of course, like you don't always know for sure where we're going to end up, and the path sometimes takes a different course. I coach too, and believe that if you have a landing place where you this is what I want to achieve, this is where I'm starting. You don't have to know what's in here. In fact, you gotta ratchet your attention on the landing place. Otherwise, you fall into the crevice, right? And so this stuff in the middle is where the unseen forces, the people, circumstances, events, and people like that guy show up, and you're like, wow, that was I did not plan on that. That was not a part of this equation, but it was a part of the equation, right?
Right. Yeah.
Shit,
I just realized this too. I have kept you for 30 minutes longer than we had agreed. I'm
Well,
so
no,
sorry.
actually, no. We agreed to 2 hours, and we are actually upon the 2 hours because I was 30 minutes late.
Oh,
You remember that?
perfect. I do remember
Yeah,
that. I do.
yeah.
I
Because
wasn't
I had
gonna.
all the
I was
things.
gonna make you. I wasn't gonna make you your whole schedule up. So I
Well, no,
appreciate it.
you didn't. I appreciate you, man. And this is an awesome conversation. And 2 hours goes by quickly when you're having fun.
Yeah,
Right.
without a doubt. Well, and so the last thing, and this I think is really important. You're a coach, aren't you?
I am.
You taking on coaching clients?
No.
Okay.
Yes, I am. And so I am. I'm really passionate about, as you can hear when I start to get excited and share, and my arms might start flailing around, and you get like there's an intensity in my eye. Is when we're talking about this stuff. This stuff. What is this stuff? It's the self-image. It's intentionality around being successful, but underneath it, though, what's driving that? That's really what gets me going, because I wasn't always this way, and I didn't have it figured out. And so for me to find this thing that I'm like, oh, I understand that now, connecting the dots going backwards. Like I had a thing that led me to a thing, and your thing was the underwear and the wife's the hole in the wife's underwear, and my thing was not being able to pay for Christmas in 2011 with two kids and one on the way. And the funny thing about that story is that my wife that year, she got me she purchased from me the Christmas gift she got for me was a magic kit. And with the wand and the hat and the and all this and that's just a funny like that's how broke we were. She got me a magic kit, like Merry Christmas, here you go.
Yeah.
You broke and the budget was like nothing, right? So what do you get a guy? You get him a magic kit so he can like poof away all of his concerns. Hey, can you make those bills
That's
go
awesome.
away? Cadabra. Boom.
I've never met your wife, but I can tell you that obviously you guys are meant to be.
Oh yes, we're two peas in a pod. We have we're two peas in a pod. Let me just put it that way.
Awesome.
Her name is Jenny. Like Forrest Gump talks about GNA.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But that was my moment, and then it propelled me to take action and go do the thing, because I had a reason for doing so, and I vowed that I'd never be in that situation again. Cut all ties, found the mentor and the guide, and found the path, followed the path, and it got me to the next place where I hit my head on the sailing the upper limit, and which is where I was seeking out a mentor again about 4 years ago with Bob Proctor and the coaching that first stage from 2011 to 2018, right around there, wasn't grounded in what I'm sharing with you now. It was grounded in more of like a reason, and yet I still had an upper limit. Now that I know what I know now, I realize that these upper limits are based on the self-image. I'm doing this because this represents the limit. And we all operate within a limit. We just don't know that. So if you think about the thermostat, like I recognize that if I'm here and I need to go here, I'm simply adjusting the dial. I know how to do that. Before I didn't know how to do that, which is why I hit the top. And I said, I'm tired of feeling this way. What's that way? My wife would say. I say, I feel like I can't. I have nothing more to give. Like it's empty. I'm just done. Like there's nothing in there. This is empty. Like. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't give what you don't have. Well, so I decided I wanted to put more into me, and that way I can then share more with other people and help them do the same thing. So it's moving from a unconscious competent, to conscious competent. So I can share this information. I know how to do it and give the tools to the individual. So the person that wants more and they're asking the question, if you're not asking the question, there's nothing here for you. If you're not asking, in other words, you're not seeking, you're not finding. If you're asking and you're like, that your way is not working, your way is not working, how do you know? Well, look at your present results in any area. Just line them up. These are areas of my life: relationship, health, spirituality, big one for people, finances. What's the bank account balance looking like right now? Is it where you want it to be? How about your retirement? How's that? Put yourself forward 20 years from now. How you sitting? Can you live the life you want to do? Of all those areas that are, if they're not where you need them to be, then your results are telling you a story, telling us a story about your current actions, which are based on your current thought process, your thought habits, which are driving your feelings and then driving your behavior and actions. So we got to go back to the beginning. If you want more than you currently, you just know your way is not working, you're actually asking the question, then there's a path for that.
Yeah.
You got to want it. You got to commit to it.
And you know how to show that to people.
I do have that. Yeah. It's a proven system. Yeah. It works for everybody that follows the system, and not everybody does, by the way. That's a caveat to this, no different than anything else. And the more you put into it, the more you get out, and it's proven, and it's proven not only for financial success, but for ultimate well-being. And people want to be happy, man. They do. Yeah. They want to be happy. Most people are not.
Well, we'll post. I think that I've got your link, so we'll post the link down in the bottom of the of the podcast.
If you don't have, I mean, you can reach out to me, or I can just, Yoder Results is my website. You can find me on YouTube. All the videos that we do is the Kevin Yoder or Yoder Results. If you want to go and find me on YouTube that way, cool. Easy to find, and I share a lot of this stuff we're talking about today.
Yeah, right on,
all right, brother.
I could talk for another hour.
I know, me too, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it very much. We'll catch you. We'll have to do this again. We'll get you on again. Yeah. Because
let's do it. And then, I mean, I'm happy to share with you. I can, as you know, we just burned through 2 hours, and it felt like 5 minutes. So thanks for thinking of me and bringing me on. Yeah, this is awesome, man.
Yeah. You were one of the first people that I thought of that would be perfect for this, because the whole goal of the podcast, and maybe I should put this at the beginning of it instead of putting it at the end of what we're talking about. But the whole goal of the podcast, it's to show agents that no matter where they are, that they can change that, and that their circumstances are not fixed.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's great. If that's the goal of your podcast, then I would say keep on doing that. And that's a worthy ideal, as we say. And I do not have any doubts that you'll accomplish helping people see that. Just a little glimpse of what's possible. So hopefully I've helped with your cause today.
Oh, you definitely have. Yeah. What I like this too, because I just learned a whole bunch.
Right.
Yeah.
You selfish. No,
right. Ooh.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go. I got some offers that came in as we were talking, which is also exciting. Ooh. So awesome. Everything's always working out.
Awesome.
All right, brother. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you. Bye.